The changing landscape of the housing market in Las Vegas requires a real estate professional that understands how to get your offer accepted, willing to go above and beyond for service and accountability. Hi, my name is Dan French. I've been in the real estate and financing industry for over 13 years. Most real estate agents struggle with answering their phone. Please call me directly, 702-557-6176. I'm available for all your real estate needs.
Dan's a fantastic man. He really is.
Ladies and gentlemen, please welcome.
What is going on, folks out there? You know what time it is. It's the FWB time. French Workbench, baby. You guys know it's Saturday morning and fresh start to October, and I have a full studio. We're going to talk today about a lot of things happening in Las Vegas. As you guys know, this is the most real and behind-the-scenes information here in Las Vegas regarding financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs happening here in Las Vegas. I'm your host, Dan French. Please, we're streaming, and I want to let you guys know, subscribe, like the channel. We want you guys to hit the notification bell. We want your information. If you guys have any questions going on with this podcast or any other podcast, live podcast, please leave them in the comment section. We're going to do our best to answer them. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and introduce my co-host, Esmeralda Lucia. What's going on, Esmeralda?
How are you guys? Oh, it's nice to be here in the morning.
Oh, yeah, it's beautiful. What's going on with you? How's your world going? I know you were here, dude, you're like on it, man. You were here on Tuesday.
She's the podcast queen.
Dude, she's all about this, right?
I am.
So what's going on?
Well, I am having a party today for one of my sisters. Yeah, so I'm
What
getting
kind of
prepared.
party?
It's her birthday.
Oh, okay.
So
Is it like, this is really going to be
hopefully
like...
she's not seeing this. It's supposed to be a surprise.
How's she turning? 25?
No, she is 28.
Oh, I was just
28.
kidding. Wow. Okay.
Wow.
To be 28 again.
I'm excited. It's going to be good. It's going to be so good.
So where's the party at, Esmeralda?
It's going to be at my house.
Nice.
Yeah.
What's the address? I'm just kidding.
How many
you
girls
guys-
are going to be there?
Hey,
Is there going to be a party with just, is it going to be like 1 to 2 guy or girl ratio?
There'll be plenty. There'll be plenty.
They're
There'll be
bringing in
plenty of
thunder from down under, I heard.
There'll be plenty of everything. How about that?
All right, you guys know this familiar face here, Mr. Brett Jenny. What's up, buddy?
How you brewing?
Dude, we are brewing.
I like
How
that
are you?
cup.
Like that?
That's cute.
So, I was thinking with your theme song coming in, man, you should start it off by playing There Goes the Neighborhood by Body Count.
Okay.
Have you ever heard of Body Count?
No, I'm going to do that next show, though.
So you know who Ice-T is? The rapper Ice-T?
Yes.
So that's his
Yes.
punk rock band.
I know Mr. T. Ice-T.
Yeah, so dude, Body Count, I'm telling you, listen to the song There Goes the Neighborhood. There goes the neighborhood. Down, down. If you started off that,
Do you remember when Mr. T, like, you playing a fool or something like that? You're not playing the... What did he
I
say?
pity you, fool.
Oh, I pity you, fool.
Yeah.
I pity you,
I'm
fool.
playing you, fool.
Yeah.
Yeah, he's like, I'm playing you, fool.
Yeah.
And like
What is
82,
it?
he's all talking like it's
pity the
2000.
fool. Dude, have you seen him lately, Mr. T?
No, is he still ripped or is he fat or what's going on?
I don't know, man. You know,
Does he still wear a lot of gold?
oh, dude.
You know
that
what I
was-
think he does? He does a lot for charity.
Oh, really?
Yeah. He's like super cool guy as far as donating
cool.
a lot and do a lot for charity.
Yeah.
I mean, he seems like,
What does he do, though, now? Like, what's his occupation?
I'm sure just
He's not in movies no more,
probably gets
so-
paid to like talk about his past or
Oh,
AT&T.
man, he signs autographs and says,
Yeah.
I pity the fool every time
Yeah.
you get an autograph. I pity the fool. I pity you getting an autograph.
Yeah, I forgot the story of why he started wearing that to begin with. It was for some reason.
I think it
all
was,
the gold and
what
stuff.
was it, like the Ace Team or something like that? What is it?
A-Team.
A-Team.
Oh, yeah.
The A-Team, Murdoch.
Yeah, Murdoch.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, man, TV dinners. I used to watch
Dude.
that like clockwork, man.
It's crazy.
Dukes of Hazzard, a bunch of shows you can't watch anymore.
I love Duke of Hazzard. That was such a good show.
Dukes of Hazzard. So let's get into the news here in Las Vegas. You know, Amazon, and we're going to talk about that first. So Amazon's talking about potentially raising $1 average per hour. I think it's $18. They're going to raise it to $19 here in Las Vegas.
So is that to work in the warehouse? Or
I believe so. I'm not knowing
Okay.
the details as far as that goes. It's just you look at that and you say that's going to help, right? But you got to think with the inflation that's going on, is that really going to help? Like, look, I'm not going to turn down $1 if I'm making $18, but I mean, with where things are at, it's probably going to be a good help. But if inflation keeps going crazy, rates are up, right? Things are challenging right now. Businesses might be going through.
I'm going to have to call my cousin. She's a regional for Amazon.
Really?
Yeah.
See? Like, girl, what happened?
So, I mean, it's like you said, though. Yeah, $1 more helps. Don't get me wrong. And not to be complaining, but with everything that's costing more, how much does that really help? You know?
But you know what? It's better a little something than nothing, though.
Yeah, but
I mean, at least somebody's taking those,
Hey, don't get me wrong. I mean, $19 an hour is fairly decent, but it's all relative to things. I'm in your break room, Dan, before the show, and you guys had the labor laws on your wall because every place of business has
so
to.
you actually came in here and you were reading the labor laws. Like, hey, what am I going to do
it
at this house?
it has minimum wage at like $7.50, $7.75.
Was that dated now, though, or is that old?
It's on there. It better be updated, Dan, or you guys are in some violations.
Well,
I'm just kidding.
I'm just saying. You
So long and short of it is this.
That?
The long and short of it is this. When I was a lot younger, minimum wage was like $4.50, and now you're like, oh, $7.50. That's like, but it's all relative because look how much more everything costs now than 30 or 40 years ago.
Well,
It's gone up triple,
30
quadruple.
years ago, I hope so.
But the increase of minimum wage hasn't nearly caught up to the price of everything else increasing. That's the point, though. Right? So you may be making $2 more an hour, but the cost of everything has gone up 4 times. So it's all relative.
I think it's going to help. Like I said, but here's where I'm going with this is that in all of these things happening, and especially in the fall heading into the holidays, you got those months, it might help out a little bit. I mean, it's going to help for a lot of people probably, but is it going to really change things? Probably not. But there is opportunity. And I think with Vegas, it's still, to me, the outlier. We still have jobs. People, we talked about this previously, that there's a lot of employers and owners, right, that can't find people to work their job, right? They quit. They're real quick to leave that job and find another job, right? I mean, we saw a mass exodus of people that are like, it's weird, but you still have, with this challenging economy, you still have a place to go work. And also you still have employers. I mean, Amazon's a pretty big company, but to give an extra $1 an hour, it might entice people to go there and try to get a job there, right? I mean, you would think.
I think they'd be better off offering benefits like health insurance or.
I think they already offer that.
Do they?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think
Well,
so.
then never mind.
I don't know.
I don't know if you got to be a
know.
full-time employee, but I'm pretty sure they do.
So what's say you work 40 hours a week, 20 say $20 an hour. That's what, $800 a week.
Yeah.
Taxes taken off. You're at $650. So every two
I
weeks you're
think it depends what
$1,300.
position,
So you're about
right?
$2,600 take home every month. How much is rent? Average rent though?
Well, okay, so
I don't
so
know.
now you're going in a different territory where you're talking about rent. Now, I'll bring this up and we'll have to kind of go to the next segment.
Well,
but
I'm just saying that's what I mean though. Is I'm trying to point something out, which is that maybe $1 more an hour, and even if it's $20 an hour, it sounds good. But in the relativity of things and the cost of everything, does it really? You got that arrow right on my forehead. Can you move that?
Oh, I wanted to stay there.
I feel like.
I wanted to stay. Is that
I was gonna
distracting?
make a comment, but
So, anyways, let's
get
keep moving. But if you look at where rents are at, I mean, it's not uncommon. We're going to talk about this here in a second.
I miss Saturdays.
We're gonna right. Also, we're going to talk a lot about what's happening in the markets. But first, I also want to bring up what's going on with Steve Wynn. So Steve Wynn was
Who's that?
He's the owner of
I'm just kidding.
the Wynn
Of
Casino.
the one
Oh, you mean he has like billions? Oh, that guy.
He's got billions, exactly. So with him, he's in trouble right now, and it's. I bring this up because
He's in trouble.
if people don't know about Steve Wynn, he's partially. I think he's almost blind.
No,
And-
he
Yeah.
is.
Yeah,
He's
and then
blind.
also too, like he went into some sexual harassment thing with his job, was forced to leave his casino.
Yeah.
So you look at that, and that's. I mean, we're not going to make judgment, but now I guess he's in the news for the government suing him because they're stating that they want him to say that he was. He's really like compelled to say he was a part of the Chinese government, like he was involved with lobbying.
He
the
didn't
government.
register as a foreign agent.
He didn't register as a foreign agent. Well, he doesn't want to.
Yeah, so they want him
Right.
to register as a foreign agent.
Right.
And he's saying, and that's
Elaborate
basically
on that. Like,
registering as a foreign agent.
like why wouldn't he though? Or
You tell me, man. I don't know. I mean, I'm sure there's
Well, I mean, you don't.
multitude of reasons.
He's probably thinking like that doesn't look good on my resume as well. I mean, he's thinking now he's really going for a government that technically is not somebody on our side. So he's basically saying he's trading, right? A little bit, right? I mean, that's a communist country. So it's just interesting. He's here. He's in the news again. He's lost it. Well, he didn't lose the casino, but I think he's lost his rights of being on the board of the casino. It's kind of interesting,
But
and
who cares?
The government's telling him. Well, the government's telling him you have to do this, and he's
Okay.
like,
Who cares about taking away something he's worked his whole life for, asshole?
No, I don't mean it like
I'm
that.
just kidding.
He's still benefiting. He's just probably not occupying
guys-
a position
Yeah.
there. So.
But I mean, you got to understand at that point, it's not about money. It's about the power. It's about the position. And that's what you're taking away from him. And that's what's going to hurt him most. He's not going to go broke.
right.
You know?
Well, look at so if you guys don't know, from my understanding of what Steve Wynn and who he was when he got started was he was hooked up into the mob. This is my understanding.
He was a son of someone who already
Yeah.
owned a casino, right? In Jersey, I
But
think.
so he was hooked into the mob. The mob helped him out, and then he was actually the ones that hung the drapes or the curtains in all of the casinos, and then cleaned them. And then he kind of transferred into owning his own casino.
So he started from the ground floor up.
But
with
he
the
got
casinos out here.
opportunity with a lot of the casinos, and that's how he got started. That
Yeah,
was my
yeah.
understanding.
Okay.
Now, I don't know.
The mob used to be in this town?
Yeah, they still are.
Yeah, I know.
You see Lake Mead?
Yeah.
Right. So
Careful who you talk to, dude.
right. So, okay, let's get into what we're going to talk about today. So the first thing we want to talk about, home buyers losing $100,000 in purchasing power. We're going to talk about why you should why you should not sell your house in this market. Brett's going to talk about why he thinks you guys should follow that, where maybe it's not the best opportunity to sell your market or sell your house in this market. And then we're going to talk about housing numbers, and then we're going to kind of end the show. So going into it, first off, before we get to the housing position of $100,000, buyers losing $100,000 in purchasing power, Brett, what's going on in crypto?
Crypto. I actually had a very busy week with it, man. I taught a class on Tuesday morning at Realty One Brokerage in Summerlin. I was able to get in touch with Key School of Real Estate, which is an online educational school here in Las Vegas. I mean, almost everybody
For real
realtor that I've
estate?
ever known has got their license originally through them and all that stuff. So I called them up this week and said, hey, I've got this crypto course that's specifically for realtors. I don't notice any real estate school in the country that's offering it. Do you want to partner up with me? And he said, absolutely. So we've got a couple of dates scheduled, one for December and one for January. And then I also went to a poker game at some guy's house through a networking group this week and was able to talk to a bunch of people in the crypto space. This one guy was a capital venturist, and what he actually is doing right now for one of his projects, which is just north of Mesquite right now, they're building these self-sustained homes. So not only do these homes, like basically the walls, the flooring, the ceilings, all of it brings in energy during the day enough to be able to run and maintain the house. Well, at night, it takes that energy and it stores them in the cells in the floor, and they have it all on blockchain, so they're able to have a secondary market and sell off those credits. So now, not only are you living in a house that costs you nothing to run, but you're actually making money living in your house every single day. So, just things
That's
like
different.
that I spoke to and a few other things. So it's been a very productive week.
So
as
what
far as
about
the market,
the crypto space though, like what's happening in cryptocurrency right now?
it's doing this, man. It's
Same
floundering
as the
back and
stock
forth.
market.
Yeah,
similar?
so here's the thing is we were talking last week and a lot of people come down or want to specifically point out that the crypto market has gone down and is it ever going to go back up and stuff and this and that. And I said, if you look at any financial market over the past year or two, it's down basically for the most part. In fact, so this morning before I came here, I was looking up gold, and gold has gone down. I mean, I think gold. I think gold at the height in March or April was like almost $1,900.
Yeah,
and
it
now
did.
it's like $1,600.
Yeah.
So isn't gold supposed to be what you buy to hedge in an inflation?
Yeah,
So
it's
even
supposed to
gold's
be.
not doing that. So everyone said, well, isn't Bitcoin supposed to be the hedge? Well, nothing is right now. So if you're going to apply that to gold and any other financial market, I mean, that's what you need to do,
Yeah.
and not just say, oh, well, Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. And in fact, what's going to happen now is I've been reading this article after article, which is a lot of the altcoins are going to absolutely explode now. Altcoins are not the main coins. Ethereum, Bitcoin, Litecoin, Cardano, these are like the top 5 or 10 volume coins in the world. While these altcoins are these coins for all these other projects that are cryptocurrency coins, but they don't really have a lot of volume. They're not that popular yet, whatever it is. But that market for those is supposed to absolutely skyrocket, which comes in line with the last time, is Bitcoin goes up, everything else takes a secondary backseat, and then Bitcoin goes down, and then everybody props up these secondary market of these coins. They make a ton of money doing that, and then when Bitcoin starts going back up, they buy back into Bitcoin, and now they have more Bitcoin. The whole point of trading them is to acquire more Bitcoin in the end. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I mean, I think a lot of people are unfamiliar with how this whole process with crypto works, and but it makes sense. Well,
look at it this way: it's a financial market like anything else. It's trading, like value. You want to know what the value is? Well, here's let me give you an example. The value of Ethereum. Ethereum is essentially a supercomputer. Okay. And you need to use this supercomputer for a lot of different variations, whether it's NFT or smart contracts or DeFi applications, whatever it is. You need to use this supercomputer to be able to do those functions. Well, when you use Ethereum and the money that it costs to use Ethereum is you're essentially paying the supercomputer to use the supercomputer. Just like if I was to use a title company to facilitate a real estate transaction, I'd be paying the title company to do title work.
Right.
You're paying a supercomputer to use it. And that's denominatory in Ethereum. You pay it with Ethereum. So the value in it is that the more people that need the demand to use this for the product, the higher the cost is going to rise because more people are using it, like anything else.
Right.
You know? And smart contracts are basically sets of protocols or processes of things that are put into a computer code.
Okay.
Right? So you have a real estate transaction that say there's 10 steps. Excuse me. The first step is, get in contract all the way down to the last step, which is close on the property, sign the title work, paperwork, all that stuff. Well, the whole process of what needs to happen, first the due diligence period, then the appraisal period, then the loan inspection contingency, all these things. It's a whole process. You can program that whole process so that it self-automates and does itself, right? So that step 2 doesn't happen until step 1 happens. When step 1 happens, it unlocks step 2, which then unlocks step 3 and so forth. So all of that process with many businesses can be put into a computer program and be self-automated. That's what Ethereum does. It allows businesses to create these smart contracts on it. That's why it's valuable.
So I want to.
Did I get people confused on
that?
No,
I think it's clear.
I mean, I don't.
I think it's like this, man. So we're gonna keep talking little segments here about cryptocurrency. And obviously, Brett's
that's about all people can handle right now. So,
well, and the thing is this, man.
Smoke is coming out.
I get it. I think people have to kind of wrap their mind around it. It's similar to paying for something, an extra cost that maybe people, because it is an investment. But it's a risk, right? If you're not using that to pay your bills, that's almost like, can I invest that money into that area, right, or that space? Crypto.
So I would say that's a fair assumption. But with that being said, so what are you going to stick your money into then? The stocks, real estate.
What if you have
crypto?
no extra
what
money?
else?
Is what I'm saying. You have to have extra money, right?
Correct.
Right. So
absolutely.
So what I'm saying is, you're not going
investing,
to go into it and say, well. But even if you had an extra $500, right? Am I going to throw you got to have extra money.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, would you take your last $500 to invest in something? No, because if you're expecting to stick $500 in tonight, and by tomorrow morning you're going to turn that into $1,000, then you're going to fail. You're going to lose that money.
So if you put in $500, how much would you expect for?
I would say you need to hold on to it, and I don't know what that is. Like anything else, it's like a stock can go up, a stock can go down.
Because I'm ready to start.
I would say take pocket change or money that you wouldn't mind not having to lose or do anything with every month or every week, and you can go on Coinbase and you can set it up so that you buy $100 every month. It automatically takes it out of your bank account. $100 every month. So whether Bitcoin's 65,000 or it's 10,000, still buying $100.
All right, so let's keep moving. So I want to say this. So let's talk about the home buyers out there losing $100,000 in purchasing power. $140,000 lost in purchasing power in Florida. Now, we all know Florida had
how much? 140?
High home appreciation for homes in Florida. They lost $140,000. And why is this happening? Well, soaring interest rates, we know that's the culprit, right? We know that that's the main reason of why people are retracting in this market, yet you still have home buyers, first-time home buyers out there. And you can see that inflation is really another problem because that's why the Fed keeps raising the Fed's fund rate. So an average home, if you were going to buy a home last year, you could buy it for $621,000. Today, because of rates have gone up, you can only buy a home at $479,000.
So a simple version of that is last year at this time, a $500,000 house you can only get for $350,000 now.
Yeah, it's
for the same payment.
It's astonishing though because
Which would be what? The payment.
So the payment last year with the interest rate, I figured it out last night watching TV. Not that I'm a mathematician. Anyways, I was sitting there. So last year at this time, the interest rate with a mortgage payment with a 20% down payment on a $500,000 house was about $2,100. Now it's just over $3,000.
Oh my goodness.
Well, but it's necessary. Now, I understand people think, well, why is this necessary, Dan, right? It's because you have to give and take. People are going to be retracting from the housing market because of the inflation problem, and that's the side effect. The side effect is the Fed has to raise...
the interest rate? Or
the inflation. The side effect is that you're going to have higher inflation, which ultimately turns into a higher mortgage rate. So it's going to push people out of the market. I wouldn't say that the first-time home buyers, we've talked about that. Investors may, if you're cash, maybe you park your money, right? That's what we talk about. But if you look at it and the necessary position that we're in to counter inflation, unfortunately, we have to raise, or the Fed had to raise, the short-term bond.
So explain why the Fed, because I've had people ask me a couple times this week who are like, why did the Fed raise the rate so much? Why? And I said, because they had to. And they said, why did they have to? Elaborate on that a little bit more. Could you, Dan?
I mean, it's not really like...
What did they do wrong to have to do what they're doing now, I guess? Or what was the scenario?
What's going on is that our economy is people still are not saving money. It's not retracting, right?
Okay.
They're still buying things, products. Gross domestic product is still there, right? It's coming down a little bit, but it's still, they projected certain numbers, the Fed did, on economic growth. And
so why would the Fed not want people to buy stuff in the economy? Why would they not want a consumer to consume?
Because they're controlling inflation. So basically, they're trying to control the pricing of certain.
I understand, but why are they trying to control it? Like, why are they trying to control consumers consuming too much?
Because it's pricing people out in different markets.
Because the Fed screwed up to begin with.
Well, they put out. Listen, so they
Which
put
is
out.
what I'm trying to get to.
Here's what it is: they put out money that we really didn't have.
Yep.
We were shut down, and this is a byproduct of what happened, right? And so
Yes.
you're looking at this market, going, okay, we had an issue, so the only way to fix the issue in their mind was, and again, the Fed has been wrong on like 3 different sectors. It's not just they're shooting for the stars on some of this stuff, and it's completely false. But because of what happened, there's more dollars in circulation, and now the costs of things are going up. We still have materials and things not being delivered. You still have truck drivers and things like that being delayed.
Yeah.
So that's part of it, right? And so what the Fed is doing is saying, okay, well, if we raise that, we'll slow the economy down, and then the economy will kind of catch itself up, and then we'll catch up to inflation, and then eventually inflation will come back to that 2%.
So basically, we're gonna make you stop buying. And
Pretty
they know
much.
How, That's, so when they want to do that, they don't ask people; they just do it.
So here's the problem, though. People are still buying.
You have to force people. Yeah. So that's why they keep on doing what they're doing.
Yeah, because it's like this. When you're equity rich or you've had money, right? And I'm not saying that everybody's business is doing well, but some people didn't get that equity rich. Some people maybe didn't get that unemployment, but a lot of people did. And a lot of people still have money, or they were sitting on money, or they just kind of said, hey, you know what? I'm going to keep it for a rainy day. So they can still spend their money. And when you're giving all this out to everybody, right? You still see that people, obviously, the numbers show it. If you still have people out there in the data saying that they're out there spending, they still got to keep raising the Fed's fund rate. Now, why is that important? Obviously, to slow the economy down. The byproduct of that is soaring interest rates, right? So I want to bring
that.
Go ahead.
I mean,
go ahead.
I don't feel like that. I mean, I get them trying to increase it, but it doesn't make sense for the household.
Here's what it comes down to, which is the government printed way too much money we didn't have. So they implemented a bunch of money, injected a bunch of money into the economy. And now they're taking that money supply out of the economy. And this is how they're taking the money supply out of the economy.
So let's come over here. I just want to show you everybody out there. So if you look at rates on FreddieMac.com here, you can see what we see. We're now at 6.7% with a 1 point discount. Look at this. Look at this.
That's a dirty, nasty number right there.
And here's my thing: is that would if you're at a $500,000 house, which this is what we're talking about right now. Your rate just 3 months ago was 5%, right? 3 months later, fast forward, you're at a 6-7% rate with a point discount. This is why when you put people in a position to make a decision in a very short window, when you're buying a house, which is a huge investment, and you're losing $100,000 in purchasing power, I don't see why anybody's in the market right now other than just people that need a house, right? That are first-time home buyers. And I say that because it sounds crazy, but I wouldn't be in you got to think, would you be in a house right now? Like, would you think about buying a house right now with this going on?
No, not if I don't need to right now.
If you don't need to, but some people do, right? But it's a small
if you have
percentage.
circumstances, right? There's circumstances that you might need to buy. You're moving, you're leaving, you need to sell,
what would you do, Brett? Would you buy in this market right now with you're losing that much purchasing power?
So I wish I could send you this graph right here that I'm looking at.
Okay.
It's a historical 30-year mortgage rate.
Elaborate. What do you mean by that?
So the historical 30-year mortgage rate from 1971 to present, 2022. The average interest rate since 1971, the average is 7.76%. We're not even at the average.
Okay, so we're good.
Because, so what I'm saying is, we've had it so good for so long that coming back to overall perspective is we're not even on average over a 40-year history or a 50-year history.
My mom told me that when she bought her house, she was at 18%.
Yeah.
They had bomb credit.
Well, so I'm looking right here. It went up to 18%. That was, and so here's the thing. Ever since it's been below the average interest rate of 7.7%. It's been below that since 2001. So for the past 20 years, we've had it below what the average is. But you can say that that's how high it was for the years before that too, I guess, right?
Well, what about 2%, 3%?
But that was historically the lowest we've ever had this past year. That's what we're trying to tell people, which is you want to know why people are overpaying for a home, 50 or 60 grand, because they're really not. With their interest rate, they're not overpaying.
We'll talk about that in a second.
I'm just saying that's why so many people bought, man.
But I can't say that it's overpaying. Because the thing is, it's not about overpaying. It's more about when are you getting into a house?
It wasn't overpaying. I agree with you. I'm saying that's how people phrased it and said everyone's overpaying. They in actuality weren't overpaying. That's what I'm trying to say.
Mm-hmm. Only if you got the interest rate, though.
But everybody did.
So let's go back. So if you're looking at this market, it's also a different dynamic. Everybody always says this is 2003, 2002, right? We see the comments. We have people come
Prices
in.
going back down to 2002.
Yeah. Here's my thing: is yes, maybe that happens. I doubt it will. I think it's going to go down another 20, maybe 10, 15%, right? Could we get down to say 415? 410, probably, maybe, right?
Maybe.
It depends if rates keep going up, which looks like they are. But at some point, it's going to break even. Where what I mean is, there's going to be a point where it stops. Yes. And so when it stops, people are going to be back in the market because they're going to gain confidence again. And I think that's the thing.
That's why now what's going on is uncertainty.
That's it.
That's why people aren't buying is uncertainty. So.
I think too. You look at the market and you look at where rates are at, and everybody says, well. Is it a bad market to buy in? I think that's the question with rates going up this high. And you know what? Here's what I can say is if you're payment sensitive or you were in a position where you couldn't afford a house, then yes, it's probably not a time for you. Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that. Now, if you look at the rates where they're at almost 7% here, just on with a point discount, which is crazy. But you look at that and you say, well, why would I get into a market like that, even though we're decelerating? Prices are coming down. So you're saying, well, maybe I can jump into market. The problem is it's countering itself because you have the higher rates and the lower prices of homes coming down. It still doesn't make a sense.
It depends on your situation. I have a buyer right now. We got into a condo, $150,000 condo, right? But what she was paying for rent every month, she wasn't really going to find anything cheaper for rent. And if you said a month ago, now's a bad time to buy, well, she got in a contract 2 weeks ago when interest rates didn't jump up. So now she's locked in that rate. So if you just say, is now a bad time to buy? Well, 2 weeks ago is even cheaper than right now. So apply another 2 weeks or another month from now. The answer is nobody knows if it's going to keep going way up or if it's going to settle around here and then go down a little bit and then go up. Well, relatively speaking, if your situation is, I want a place to buy and I'm paying 100% of a mortgage payment to somebody else when I rent, and that's the way you look at it, then I would say buy. I mean, are you getting it near the record rates that you could? Absolutely not. Are you paying a lot more than last year for the same house? Absolutely. But
I think it
depends on your situation.
What were you going to say, Esmeralda?
Well, according to everything that's happening in the news, they're saying it is increasing. It's not going down. It's going up.
No, it's going to continue to go up.
Yeah. So
there you go.
Here's where it's at, though. I think is that, and to say what you're saying exactly is that it's going up is. Yeah. It's just hard to wrap around that we just hit highest all-time prices in homes. And then now we're at 15-year highs on mortgage rates.
And interest rates.
And
that's why there's uncertainty.
This was the less than a year that this happened, and that's a big deal. And then 3 months ago, we were 2 points less roughly down on rates.
I just look at it from a big picture, which is we've had 2 years of rocket fuel. That isn't normal. You got to pay for that.
It was all pre-pandemic, right? But
no, I'm talking about during the pandemic. It's like the last 2 years have been insane for what's happened, and everything has been on rocket fuel times 10. So when you have something that's abnormal like that, the only way it really gets corrected correctly is abnormally things that happen to correct it. And so what's happening right now is, don't get me wrong, all these points are very valid, and I understand where everyone's coming from. But regardless, the overall perception is we went way beyond what we ever should have. So all we're doing right now is correcting it, and we need to correct it. And so once it gets corrected, it will be business as usual. The question is, when does that correction stop and we start moving forward again? That's the question, and which is creating the uncertainty right now.
I think that not going to happen until the end of 2023, where people start to level. And look, I'm not saying people aren't going to buy. I'm not going to say you're going to see signs of the economy getting better. Yeah. But for us to actually come out of this, if things somewhat get stable, where they raise it up another couple of 75 basis points, 50, and then 25. Let's say first, second quarter, it now kind of settles in. It's going to take people a little bit of time after that.
Absolutely.
To understand, okay, things are now stabilized. This is the new norm. I feel rates will come back down once inflation comes back down. But I think we're far off. I think we're far off from people to say, I feel confident in this market.
Here's a rule you need to apply to it. You need to apply the rule like you do with a breakup of a relationship. What's the old saying? You were in a relationship for a year, and it takes 2 years to get over it.
I thought you were going to say just
right. You're in a relationship for 5 years. It takes you 10 years to get over it.
Is that right?
That's what I've heard for the golden rule for relationships.
10 years.
Well, I mean, not 10 years, but you get what I'm saying. If you're with someone in 6 months, it takes you a year to get over it.
Man, you must have been really in love with that person.
Hey man, I didn't make up the saying, brother. I'm just telling you that's the rule I apply to it. So we had especially a year.
But you said that you date somebody for a year and it takes you 2 years.
Correct. So
that doesn't make sense.
Well, listen, that person must be.
That's the rule, the golden rule that's applied to that. I didn't say it made sense or that I came up with that, dude.
I think it's backwards.
I'm just saying. Okay, whatever.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just kidding.
I don't know.
You ever heard of the terminology? That person must be shitting gold. For you to
yeah. So the point being is this:
we had a lot of money in my account. I'm sad.
Something was there. Brett, we're just
playing.
We love you, Brett.
I know. I just love to be able to finish sentences.
Go ahead.
Okay.
No, it's cool. So let's go.
Okay. Next. What's next?
Sorry.
You tell me. Go ahead and have your banter, man. That's cool.
So listen, my question to you on this though is, when you're out there, I'm going to give you a story about what happened to me. All right. I have a buyer out there. Hold on, I want to talk about it because you
Oh, you don't like that? Sorry, go ahead.
Okay, I have a buyer out there.
Such an asshole.
I love it though. I have a buyer out there.
So I miss Saturdays. Okay, go ahead.
Right, exactly. So I had a buyer that was looking to buy a house, obviously, and they're transitioning from one state to another. It's got to be a simultaneous close. Mm-hmm. One of the concerns is, by the time that I find a house, right? What will my rate be? right? What will be the rate? Would it be 6, 7%? Can I afford it?
Good point.
So when you're like looking at those offers and making those offers, I would say that you're probably that's another layer or challenge, because now it's like, okay, you got to list the house in California. You got to make sure that you're in contract there at the same time being in contract here, that they can afford the payment. And also they're going to clear enough because prices are coming down, right? And so maybe they're not making as much.
There's a lot of parties in motion.
There's a lot of things to consider, and that's one of the challenges. They go out and look at these houses. It's not just them. Another buyer out there, you go out there and they're looking and they're like, I'm a first-time home buyer. It's a very hard challenge to talk to first-time home buyers and say, look, I understand it's scary, right? This is not an easy road. I mean, you talk to everybody else like the last, 2 or 3 years, it's been gravy, right? Everybody loves the fact that rates were low for the most part. So
how about this? And then you say, okay, I don't want to buy right now because I'm paying so much more for an interest rate. I'm going to wait for things to come down. And home prices don't really go down. And you say, but you decide that you want to start buying again because interest rates have gone down. Well, guess what? Now everybody who was waiting like you is flooded back into the market, and now you're competing with everybody else like you were before.
Investors.
So I'm just saying, like, everybody's waiting. The problem with that is everybody waits together, but then everyone starts pulling the trigger together, and now you're going against head-to-head competition again. So, I don't know what washes out to gains or losses, but
here's my thing though, is you have competition. I think it's just like one of those things now that rates have always been an issue. Now it's an issue where it's like, and it's the conversations you have, does it make sense, right? It's the same with selling your home. We're going to talk about that here in a second. There is ways and tactics and things that you can always say there's good and bad. But when you look at these home buyers and how much purchasing power they've lost, do you just wait until 2023 and hope for the best, like rates came back down, or do you just, do you buy?
Man, case by case. I mean, I don't blame people for waiting and wanting to see. Like with everything that I'm saying, like I don't blame people for being cautionary right now and waiting to see what happens. I understand why, but just like who's going to sell their house right now? Somebody who's in a situation where they're having a change in the family, or they're losing their job, or they're moving to another state, or divorced, or whatever it is. Those are the only people that are going to put their house on the market right now, because everyone else would be selling into a worse situation than they currently have.
Well, I'm going to say this. If you're a realtor out there, a lender, I think Walmart is hiring. We know Amazon is hiring.
Get 2 or 3. The problem is, even if Amazon's doing $19 an hour, you need 3 damn jobs.
Get on the horn, and start making those calls.
Yeah.
Right? So anyways, let's kind of move on. So we all know that this is a challenge. I think investors are planting their money in these houses. The thing is that if you're a seller out there, having an investor buy your house with cash may be the way. We'll talk about that. But you look at these home buyers, and I just feel for them because, look, man, sometimes you can overlook it. But like I have another client, she's trying to make an offer on a new home, and I just want to kind of end it with this segment. But the challenge is that she was going to lock in her rate with the lender, right? 3 months ago. Rates were 5%.
Because she's waiting for the house to be built.
And now she's waiting for the house to be built. And here's the challenge is, do you lock in on a 6-month or 12-month lock and play the market, or you just, or don't play the market, or you just wait? I don't know
the answer to that.
Well, I'm going to tell you.
But does she get incentives and everything, or no?
Doesn't matter. See, here's the thing. You can, at that time, we knew rates weren't that bad, right? Mm-hmm. Maybe it wasn't offered at that time because the incentives were offered when we saw rates start to spike up.
Yeah.
She's at that critical point.
So she can't go get the incentives.
Or the incentives.
Right, or you can buy down.
So now she's forced to another $250 payment. Now she's thinking, do I even stay in this house?
Can she go to the builder and say, listen, I'm going to bail unless you buy down my rate?
She could, but why would the builder want to do it after she signed the contract and everything?
Builders want to get sales right now. They're not trying to play that game right now. So that's the kind of lever. I don't know this particular situation.
Some builders are.
But I would think out of all the times in the last couple of years, this would probably be the most susceptible they would to that. Or I would say for her first-time home buyers, ideally right now, if you want to buy and you're like, man, I don't want to do anything with this interest rate, go to a new home build where they already have the house built and they need to sell it within the next 30 to 60 days and it's already built, standing inventory, and have the builder buy down your rate 2 points. Have them pay your closing costs.
Oh, I didn't realize
that
they would pay
more
that
than
much
makes
down.
up for things for your scenario right now and gets you in a house.
Well, listen, that might work, and I'm not saying it won't.
Oh, it does.
Because Brett Jenny said so.
Because I said so. And I have a podcast. You don't.
Have you had that happen?
What?
Where they bought it
Yeah.
down? Oh, okay.
Yeah,
That's
if you
cool.
go, I mean, like, was it, what the hell is that builder? Blue Signature or
Blue Heron?
Blue Heron?
not Blue Herring? They're off it's a small Bluemont,
Oh, Bluemont.
right? I'm not sure what builder that is, but
Well, look.
they're offering like 10, like, what is it, like 20 grand in buyer's closing costs. They're offering to buy down a point or two. And they're also offering like realtors like 25 grand commission on like a $450,000 house. It's crazy. So,
Well, I'm going to say this. It's not going to work for everybody. You
No, it's not.
And here's the thing. Just because we say this on the show, it's giving you ideas, but definitely I would ruffle some feathers over at the builder.
D.R. Horton was offering one like that and I had one of my buyers say, well, you call them and find out what's going on with this. I just got the email for them. And I think your credit score, in order to qualify for it, it had to be a home that was going to be closed in the next 30 to 60 days. It had to be a certain of the selections that they had. And you had to have a credit score of, I believe, 720 or more. And it had to be at least a 10% or 15% down payment. So they offered it, but you had to have a certain number, like, you know, kind of like when a car dealership says, come in for 0% interest. Well, you got to be top 1% of top 1% to qualify for that or whatever. So,
All right. Let's go ahead and move on to the
do
next
my white boy
segment here.
dance.
Let's move on to the next segment here. So let's talk about why Brett is going to tell us today why it's not a good market to sell as a seller in this market and what the challenges you're going to have in this market. So I always say, you know, there's pros and cons. I tell everybody I can give you an idea and really present that idea that you can do both sides. I can say, hey, it might be for you or it might not. Brett's going to tell us why not. So, Brett, I'll let you start off with this part.
So we kind of picked a side this morning. You're going to argue one side. I'm going to argue the other side, so to speak. All right?
I don't know. I mean, what is your topic?
Well, you just said right now, which is I'm going to basically say why you shouldn't sell right now.
No, that's your opinion on it.
That is my opinion as well. So it aligns with mine.
Because you wanted to talk about it, so I might have a conversation. That
So
says
I don't
maybe
think
not.
it's a good time to sell because ideally, if you want to. Now, I'm not talking about certain situations. Everyone's situations come up in life, but I'm talking ideally, okay? Ideally, why would you want to put your house and sell in a market where you're going to go into a worse scenario than what you currently have? And
Which
we're not
means-
talking about a slightly less scenario. We're talking about a big less scenario, right? So, for example, a year ago, if you bought a house, a $500,000 house, home prices went up 15%, so now you're at $575,000. And your interest rate that you had was, say, 3%, a little bit above 3%. So equivalent to that right now would only get you a $350,000 house for the same payment. So why would you sell a $575,000 house that you're living in to go live in a $350,000 house? Because unless you're going to pay a lot more in a mortgage payment, that's what's going to get you for an equal payment. So unless you're and even the people who need to move because of divorce or job or whatever it is, there's still X number of people moving here to Las Vegas every single month to make up for that. So I guess I don't really understand why you would move into a worse scenario than what you currently have. I mean, if you can explain the other than a situation you have, explain the common sense to me. Because I don't understand it.
So is that it?
That's it, bud. I mean, I'll continue to argue, but I just want to hear your side now.
Well, my side is this, and I listen. There's a part of that to me
Adjourned.
that says I agree now, but I'm going to say this: that's not necessarily.
You're wrong.
That's not necessarily
You're wrong.
true altogether, though. Because well, it's because you got to think that if you're a primary owner, yeah, maybe that makes sense. Now, what if you bought your house 5-10 years ago and you got $200,000-$300,000 equity in your house, and you're going to cash out $250,000 instead of $300,000.
So again, that goes back to there are scenarios out there where it does, but for the most part. So that's just like so you can give me small samples of.
I'm going to keep going,
but that's not going to be a
Because
majority.
you could also take that money, sell it, take that money and rent.
I'm going to keep going.
You'd be better off drawing the equity out of your house and staying there then.
All right, I'm going to keep going. So
okay, sorry.
Also, you're a cash, but no, you could, dude. That's fine. I don't. I'm not all upset. Like, I don't get all upset. I want people to be happy.
I'm not either.
I don't want people to get triggered. That's all I want. I don't want to be triggered.
I love triggering people. You know that.
I know. And see, I don't want to trigger you. And that's the thing. So going back to it.
I'm the most mild-tempered person you ever meet.
Yeah, right. I'll trigger you in 30 seconds or less.
You guys, let's get along.
Here's what I can say is this, is that you look at the housing market and you look at where people are at selling, and let's say you want to sell a house cash, okay? What if you have an investor that comes to your house and says, look, man, I'm going to give you not as much as you would get, obviously, in the market we saw back in January, but what if I gave you at least 80% of what the appreciation was? And I'm saying, well, you know what? Okay, I can take that. And then if I'm going to buy another house, yeah, rates are 7%.
Is this a cash buyer though?
Yeah, I'm giving you a scenario. Cash buyer. You're going to go buy another house, but you need a loan. You put down $300,000 on a $200,000 home or a $150,000 mortgage. That's probably $1,500 a month. That's doable, even at a 7% rate. So it really comes down to what is your position and what is your motivation, right? But also, it doesn't mean like it's the end of the world because you sell your house and it's like, I got no options. Dude, over 50% of people in this city are equity rich. Is that not true?
Over 50%, 53.1% have over 50% equity in their house.
There you go.
That's awesome.
So that tells me that even if I sold my house and I didn't make as much as I wanted to make, I'm going to be sitting good. And
I'm not saying you're going to be homeless, but you're still getting a worse scenario than what you currently have. Now, if it's somebody where they're like, hey, you know what? I just want to cash out right now and I want to go rent for a while, or I'm not sure what I want to do, whatever it is, I don't blame you, man. That's why you have a house and that's why you have equity in it. And you have a right and should feel free to cash out on that anytime that suits you best. Yeah. But again, that comes down to a scenario, a certain situation. You know, that's not, I also think same thing. Like if my mom dies and I inherit a house in Kentucky and I live here in Las Vegas, it's like, and some investor says, I'll give you 80% of the value. Done, dude. I got the cash. Like, I don't care what kind of market it is, you know? But again, those are unique situations.
What I'm going to say, though, is that I get it, but you're not, where I'm coming is that I think the psychological position you're in with people out there saying, well, it's just too hard. And you got people right now. We see the declines in listings of homes here in Las Vegas. We see people losing motivation to go sell your home because they're, you know what? I'm not going to get what I want. Hey, you might be that person. You got to think, though. How many people out here bought a secondary home or investment property in Las Vegas because Las Vegas is a great place to buy a home like that?
How would they be in a bad financial situation if they bought a secondary home?
That's my point exactly.
They wouldn't.
Right.
They wouldn't be.
Exactly. That's my point. So if you're saying that if you have a secondary home and you're still not making as much, but you're still getting out of that situation, you cash out $150 and you're going on to somewhere else, or maybe you just want the money, dude. Listen, how many investors have?
Or you keep on renting it out and wait till the market goes back up and sell it then and collect rent the whole time.
But the argument is that you have a position of why somebody should not sell. And I'm not saying that you shouldn't sell. I think you have some valid points, but I disagree in the sense that there is people out there looking to sell your house.
There are,
right? and it makes sense.
But I agree with you in this. Yes, I agree with you in the sense that there are some situations out there where it makes complete sense to sell right now. And more importantly, it's your damn money. Do whatever the hell you want. Don't listen to some dumb realtor on a podcast.
Anyways, you're not a dumb realtor, Brett. Come on, man. Give yourself a little credit. But I would say this.
If you want to take a poll of the audience watching right now,
right.
I bet you they would have no problem.
No, I think you do fine. But let me say this. I think, honestly, like I talked to Brett and I talked to people. Brett's very knowledgeable in this market, so don't let him fool you on this. I do want to bring up, though, that you look at the sellers and you say, well, why would somebody sell their house and what really sells a house in this market? Okay, you can't overprice, right? And what does that mean? Well, you got to really do your comp. So you can't go off of you got to do what the seller tells you, but you also have to say, look, man, we're not going to sit here all day we're not going to sell this thing till 2024 if you don't make adjustments.
So here's the difference between a realtor and an appraiser. So when I go and list a house, I look at the recent solds, and then I look at where the market's going. So for the past year or 2 years, I saw the market just was going to keep on going up. So whenever I take a listing, say it's a $500,000 listing, I'd say, cool, the last 3 sold for $500,000. Let's put ours on for $515, see what can happen. And that's what you do. But the same thing's in reverse engineering with that now, with the market that we have right now. Now I say, okay, this house sold for $500,000 3 months ago. And now for us to sell it, I think we got to put it at probably $475 because everything else around here is at the same price. And what's going to get a house to sell right now, there may be a few extra things, but the number one factor to get any house to sell right now, price, period. That's what gets anything to sell, price.
So look, I'm going to give you guys 9 reasons why you should sell. That's number 1, or why you should sell, and also the tactics to sell. So that's number 1. Number 2 is your backyard has to look great. Now, in most of these areas, older locations, you have a front yard, but it's I would say that's like East Side Las Vegas, maybe old parts of Henderson, right? East Side. But I think you got to take that in consideration. If you have a house that has a front yard, absolutely, you have to look at that front and backyard. So that's number 2. Number 3 is photographs, right? And I don't know, like people go online and everybody's like, when you look at food, I buy off of pictures. I don't buy off of what's in it.
Dude, I'm
like, that looks good.
And
I don't know what's in it.
It's funny you say that
good.
because that is a very important part of selling the house are the pictures. And you would be surprised, and you've seen this,
100%.
how many $1 million, $2 million, $3 million homes some realtor whipped out their cell phone and took pictures of it, and that's literally the pictures for like a $2.5 million house. Dude, if you're paying that kind of commission as a seller to your agent, and that's how they represented your house, bro.
Dude, at least be 2K.
Dude,
not, you know what I mean?
But
Get
it's just,
2K,
it amazes
right?
me. It's like, dude, this is like, what, $2.5 million at 3% commission? That's like, shit, what is that? 3% of...
It's a lot.
It's a lot. Yeah.
It's a lot.
It's like 80 grand, 90 grand. Like, you can't even put on... Anyways.
So, again, this kind of coincides with what I said, curb appeal.
Yeah.
When you drive up to a house, what do you feel about that house, man? I mean, if it's a condo...
What do you feel about it?
You're like, wait a second, is the Munsters living here? Because it's like, I'm not buying this one, man.
I got goosebumps.
Yeah, it's got some... this house has...
Is it about the neighborhood or is it just about the house?
It's about the house. I mean, you can't have tires and cars up on jacks and stuff.
Then it's about the no, but then it's about the neighborhood because if you're driving in and just one house looks good and everything else looks like trash, you're like,
that's true.
You get
I
inside,
wouldn't want to buy a home
you
like
get
that.
inside, ooh, look at that countertop.
Is curb appeal big to you? Is curb appeal big to you?
I just would want my whole community to look nice.
And that's the thing. You when you drive
Not
into
unless I live in a like 2-acre property or half an acre where it's custom homes.
But
even at that, you're
paying,
Are you an HOA girl? Are you not an HOA girl?
I mean, hey,
You're in the best money can buy girl.
Hey,
Yeah,
what is
that's
it?
right.
HOA girl. Are you an HOA guy or
I'm
are you
a
not an HOA
businesswoman.
guy?
You need them to be in Summerlin, but I'm not a big fan of them. I mean, where I come from
You know
in
what?
Wisconsin, if you told someone of an HOA, they would.
I respect
they wouldn't do it.
HOAs. I'm gonna tell you why. I think that is valuable what they bring to the table because a lot of people would have their house looking like beep beep beep.
So I always say HOAs are not for you; they're for your neighbor.
Yeah.
Right.
And they need some neighbors need that.
Yeah. Make sure your neighbor doesn't paint their house pink or something.
Yeah. It's true. I've been to neighborhoods where like it's yellow and purple, and you're like, what happened?
I think that there's issues though sometimes with people with neighbors and also with dogs, pet friendly.
Yeah.
These are big things. Schools, right, and like areas where your kids are walking.
What do you mean pet friendly?
Like meaning is the dog if the dogs are barking or they're like a nuisance or whatever.
Well, the reality of it is there's not that many communities that don't have HOAs left in Las Vegas. So just by default, you're probably going to have one, right?
That's what I'm saying is that look, there's a certain time
It depends
period.
how strict they are.
Yeah.
You know,
That's what it comes down to.
Some
how
of them
strict
are
they
like
are.
you have a master community and then you have your regular. So you have two.
Yeah, go live in Southern Highlands. Go watch their HOA on YouTube.
So listen, we all agree curb appeal is a big deal. We all agree to that, right?
Absolutely.
I think it is.
It sells a house in any market. Curb appeal.
I mean,
you know?
it's first impression. That's
Absolutely.
like when you go date somebody and you don't have the right clothes on or you're wearing some
Your mind
janky
ain't
shoes.
changing, dude. Her mind ain't changing. Your mind ain't changing.
If your outfit ain't right, is that what you guys
I'm
are
just
saying?
saying, like
if you don't pop, if you don't
go
pop
on
the
a
collar,
first date with a guy and he just looks disheveled and doesn't have it together and is like, yeah, always on his phone, you're gonna be like, dude, the next date he could show up with effing bars of gold and like, you know, $1,000 pair of stilettos and da-da-da, and you'd be like, well, in the back of your mind, you're still like, this guy's a chump. You know?
yeah, right.
So
curb appeal's big. I mean, you got people that show up, right? You got to show up to show out, right?
You know what? I think that first impression is important.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean,
it's everything.
Now, once you pass that phrase, and
yeah,
then
but
that's different.
it's everything. It's everything.
It's everything. Yeah. So let's go to the
Business,
next one.
personal, everything.
All right. Number 6 is sell in the spring. So we're hitting into fall, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I guess nobody needs to buy a house right now until next year.
That's how they're acting.
We're in fall.
Trust me, that's how everyone's acting.
Well, that's what I'm saying.
we
It's
get it. No one's buying right now. We get it, dude.
I'm telling you, applications at Walmart and Amazon are coming.
Yeah, no shit.
All right. Avoid the what is this? To lower the price. So consistently lowering your price doesn't really work.
You have to be.
That's what they're
Go ahead.
saying. It doesn't work. They're saying
You mean listing it and then dropping the price?
consistently lowering a price in a decelerating market does not work. Okay, so if you're just shotgunning dropping your price, that works, but you're also got to think that people are thinking, well, why is that? If it's days on the market, is it really overpriced? You know what I mean?
So
that's
I
kind of
don't
a hard
understand how not dropping the price and keeping it on the market even longer is going to work for you in
Yeah.
any shape or form. So I mean, like, does that mean like your whole game plan is just keep dropping the price every week? No, because then you look desperate.
That's what I'm saying.
But you need to be able to drop the price every 30 days if it's not selling.
Well,
dude.
I think in this market, it's every other day we need to drop 5,000.
Yeah. That's what buyers want.
Or maybe
That's what
just
buyers want.
pricing it.
I'm waiting until they drop it 20 grand every month.
Or maybe
don't
just
buy.
pricing it accurately to
They
the
never
market.
end up buying.
All right, and then the number 8 is get a home inspection done. I do that.
I think it's
My
important.
job actually wants to do that, right? So they are forcing
You'd be
us.
surprised how many buyers passed that up
Really?
the last year because they wanted to get the house.
Well,
They
that's the thing.
they said we waive appraisal, we waive home inspection, everything.
Yeah, and also a part of that is
I guess if your home is newer,
yeah.
it's maybe not.
Yeah.
A part of that is though too is that you got to have a house and you got to be understanding and realistic when you talk about the home inspection. If your house has not been upgraded or it has some problems, you got to be flexible. The only people that are going to get top dollar today, turnkey homes, right? That have all the upgrades
Yes.
updated, and they got the flash, they got neighborhood that's great. The
You got to
location.
have the best house in the neighborhood
That's
and
it.
probably be around the cheapest of everything.
Exactly.
And that will guarantee sell your house right now. You're the best home in the neighborhood and you're priced with everything else, if not just a tad bit cheaper.
So, and then the last thing I'm going to say, and this is very important to everybody out there. You guys need to subscribe to this podcast to get the future information from the French Workbench podcast. That's number 9. And also, you
Number
need to
10 is you need to buy all your homes through us.
right. And then the other thing is you need to subscribe to my channels, LV Crib Tours, and also subscribe to the Sound Off, right?
Sound Off.
So these are all important
Sound
things.
Off.
Sound
Yeah,
Off.
he's got a little thing he whips together and bitches about life for a half hour.
Yeah, it's
No, I'm
like,
just kidding.
dude, what happened? I'm going to Amazon. I want to be a manager. What's my pay?
He quit doing his meditation sessions.
But anyways, that's it, guys. If you guys have any questions on listing your home, please get a hold of us. Comment section. Let us know what's going on. And we're going to end the show here, but we got one last segment, and we're going to move to it, and we're going to talk with Brett. And I'm going to bring this up. So we're going to bring up what's happening in the housing world, right? So what's happening in...
I can't read that.
I'm going to let you know. So I'm going to bring it to you. So right now, single-family residence homes are $449. So they dropped $1,000. Now, I always question this because I feel like this is
It dropped $1,000?
$1,000.
Market's crashing. Market's crashing. See, it dropped $1,000.
Right.
Every YouTuber commenter.
Right. Hey, man, it gets clicks. Everybody's like, yes, that's finally happening. So listen, $449, right? Now, we're not doing this on a 7-day process. Now, if you did it at a 7-day process, I'm sure the numbers would be maybe a little bit less, maybe right around the same. But this is, I feel like this information is somewhat delayed. So sometimes we come out and we kind of interrupt and say we're going to.
That's
give you a
going
little bit more.
up to what, August?
Yeah, this is coming up to August 2022.
Okay.
So you can see that. Now, you look over here and let's look at, I want to come over and look at this really quick. This section right here is listings. So let's see if we can scroll over here and put out, is there a place here? Well, days on the market, let's talk about
What are you trying to do here?
Days on the market. We got average days on the market. People always ask this 21 days. So that's actually come down. This is for single family residence homes. So I'm just showing this. And then you have pending sales, right? It's come down to
How far is that going back? I can't see.
32,000. What?
How far back?
What's
like,
the
how
number
many
down
days?
there?
Here?
What years?
So this is of August of 2022.
Okay, this is the past month.
Yeah, this is
Okay,
the last.
okay.
These are the last 12 months. So we're
so it's of a 12-month graph, not a month graph.
So here's the new listings. Yeah, it's a 12-month graph, but by month.
The picture you have up, is that 12 months or is that 1 month?
This is a year
Yes.
of a monthly graph.
So there's a big difference.
Okay, so I think
That's why.
misinterpreted your question.
Anyways.
So you have 45. Listen, you have new listings on the market right now, right? And actually, this is in the last 3 years. Let's go back to this year. 45,000 was in the last year, and this is over the last 12 months. Single-family residence homes. That to me. Let's see if it says monthly.
That's how many listings are on the market?
Yeah. So let's see if we can go monthly now. So that was 12 months. So this is monthly.
So we've actually gone down.
We've gone down. So this is 4,305 homes on the market right now.
So
Talk to me about that.
since the last 3 or 4 months when interest rates really rose up, how much have home prices decreased?
Well, I think at our peak, we were at 490.
No, I thought it was 480.
Maybe. I think it was close to
Okay,
490.
so what, 3 or 4%?
So let's say we've declined 10%. Let's say that's
Within
the homes.
2 months?
No, since the peak of where we were at. His question is
We're at 490 down to, okay.
490 down to 449. So I see this listing zone. This is for the listings department. This listings is telling me that people are losing confidence in listing their home.
Yeah,
That's what it's telling me.
so the market went down 10% in value, and then all of a sudden everyone putting their house on the market stopped, which gets back to my point.
Yeah. and
Why would you put your house on the market to go into a worse scenario than what you currently have?
Well, but here's my thing.
You wouldn't.
Here's my thing is so
There's proof right
Is
there.
it rates driven, or is it just because you hear it out there in the news that people are saying it's not a good time to do it?
It's both.
Because I
It's
think
both.
You're getting
it's
pounded both ways.
I think it's a blend. I don't think it's just because look you could still make money in this market. If you bought your house 10 years ago, you're walking away with a pretty good
Well,
chunk of
absolutely.
change.
I mean, home prices over the past 10 years in Las Vegas have increased 234%.
Exactly.
so
you have to
Even
go-
even if you listed it at price or whatever, price,
yeah,
then
you're still walking
making
away. I mean, at this point, it's all cash. Yeah, it's 100% profit. So,
I mean, it tells you that I feel this is what this is saying to me is that psychologically, the listers out there, psychologically, sellers out there,
Ooh, mentally,
You're traumatized.
I love it.
they are in a position where they don't trust the market, and also with rates going up, I think they're operating off of a place of fear.
They are. They're operating out of
100%.
uncertainty. That's what everyone. I mean, that's the market right now. That's what creates it is uncertainty. Uncertainty creates more uncertainty, and so forth, and just keeps going
What creates
until we
fear.
get to a point, which is I think next spring, and I do believe we're going to be in a recession all of next year, and it's not going to be to the end of the year that we're going to hold on that we're going to come out of it.
Yeah.
But with that being said, I still think that by next spring, people are going to start buying homes again because they're going to be sick and tired of being sick and tired. And I think with just that thought alone, that's why.
Well, what about the interest rates are higher in that time?
It won't be that much higher. I mean, I think people will have more than enough time to get used to it. And I just think that at a certain point, people get sick and tired of being sick and tired. People love to cry wolf when it's time to cry wolf, and they'll cry it all day long. But then that cycle works itself, and the next cycle is I'm sick and tired of that, on to the next. And that's how human psychology works.
So look, I would say they're operating off of fear. You have issues out there with rates, and it really, I mean, yeah, you could say it's affecting the other side. You make a lot of money, you put money down. If you need a loan, I get it, 7%, but if you got a loan amount of 150, that's not life-changing. I mean, that's probably comparable. So you just pivoted. It's
That's not life changing.
It's not life-changing whatsoever. So let's go over here. I want to go over to this part of it. One last thing. So we got days on the market, and we talked about this. This is 25 days. I think we were looking at a 3-year average. So that was not right. 1-year average, and this is every month. This is 25 days. That's why I was looking at this. And then price per square foot, we could talk about that. Now, $254 average price per square foot.
And what was it?
Well, the peak, it was $262.
And it's at what now?
It's at $254. So it's
So
not
I don't
much
think
difference.
home prices have gone down 10%, bud.
Now, here's my thing. New listings, right? You see new listings. You also want to say, okay, well, let's look at all homes for sale. We're at 12,000 homes. Folks, we did it. We just surpassed a total of 12,000 homes listed on the market.
Here's the problem.
There it is.
Here's the problem.
It's almost like we got a graph there.
Here's the problem. Go back to the homepage or whatever page has the month supply.
Okay.
Go to that page.
Okay.
What do we have for month supply?
3.2.
Switch over to a buyer's market, technically, is 6 months or more. Now, just to give you an idea of things, of how much this town has grown and where population comes into play, I moved here in January of 2009. and there were 13,000 homes on the market. That was, at the time, an 11 and a half month supply of homes on the market at 13,000. We're at 12,000, and we're not even at 3.5 months supply. That's how many people have moved here and continue to move here every year.
Isn't that amazing?
I'm just saying,
It's crazy.
these are numbers I was talking about before. I said everybody wants a doomsday scenario, but they're not willing to apply another set of numbers that come into the equation. You can't do that. That's not the full picture or the truth.
So
you can't just say, well, this side suits with what I already believe, so I'm just going to say that. No, you've got another set of numbers people aren't taking into account.
So that's the 50% that do have equity.
Yes.
And they're in a positive position.
Yes, 53.1% have over 50% equity. I don't hear any other realtor or anybody mentioning that when they talk about doomsday scenario.
So I want to bring this up.
So
and
you're
this
talking
is,
about it.
This is a new part
'Cause I don't
here,
care.
too. This is an average of percentage of list price and what it's selling for, and it's telling you that it's at 99. It was at like over 100. I saw it at 101 for the
Think about
longest
that.
time. 99. So that means what this is saying is that every listing out there is now getting less than what they wanted, and you can see this trend consistently coming
But-
down. Look at that drop.
Within 99%?
Yeah. Within
It's,
that-
yeah, but it's
still strong though.
It's still selling within 99% of the list price.
Right.
Dude.
And you're still winning.
Yeah, like most normal markets, it sells within 94, 95% of the list price. So we're still way ahead of that.
Yeah, exactly. So, anyways, folks out there, we got to end the show. This is the French Workbench podcast. I have my crew here, and do you have any last words over here, Mr. Brett Jennings?
No, I think I've pissed enough people off for the day. Can't wait for the comments. As always, have a drink and read.
Have a shot for us.
Hey,
have a drink and read the
Esmeralda.
comment. I love it.
Thanks for coming on.
Bring the
Thank you.
You have any other things to say here?
Have a great weekend, everybody, because I know I will.
Yeah, you will. Party,
Sure.
party.
That's
What-
right.
you got a party for your
Yeah.
Sister, yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, they're doing
We're doing it big.
it big, man. That's how they
Siempre.
bring it, Vegas style.
Liceas.
That's how you do it, right?
That's how we do it.
That's how you do's it.
That's
All right,
right.
guys, you guys know I'm the most real and behind the scenes information on financing, real estate, money talk, entrepreneurs happening here in Las Vegas. I am your host, Dan French. Please subscribe, like the channel, right? We're going to keep putting out this content. LV Home Professionals, check us out. Great place to get started if you're buying a home. We're in the trenches. We see what's going on. And that's it. We'll see you guys on Tuesday. Hopefully you enjoyed the show. Reach out to us. Let us know if you need us. We'll see you then. Thank you for watching the French Workbench podcast. You can find us here every Tuesday at 6 p.m. and Saturday mornings at 10 a.m. to find out all the information on real estate and financing here in Las Vegas. Also, check us out on our LV Home Professionals website. You can find your future home there. A lot of good information. And you can find us on audio-only options through Sound